Welcome back to Winners and Losers. This time we're focusing on the Chinese Grand Prix. What a snooze fest. What an absolute snooze fest it was. Hence why the fact we're a week late posting this video. Thank you guys for all being so patient with me over the past, I'd say 3 weeks. It's not been quite smooth sailing over here for the past few weeks, but you guys, you've been smashing it. And we're almost at 10k subscribers. Pretty crazy. So a quick thank you and a quick welcome to all of you noobs to the channel. Hopefully you enjoy some of the content we put out. But today is Winners and Losers, and we're changing it up a little bit. We got a new thumbnail on the go, but mostly the format stays the same. We pick our 3 winners, our 3 losers from the Chinese Grand Prix, and we pick our biggest winner, our biggest loser. And it's also the video where we go through our fantasy team and have a look at the little fantasy league that we put up over this season. Let's start off with the winners. This time, it was really difficult to pick both winners and losers because the race was so awful, to be honest with you. So it was difficult this week. So you might think that some drivers don't deserve to be in it and others do, but really there weren't any clear-cut drivers, I felt anyway, in this particular week. But our first winner coming from the Chinese Grand Prix is Daniel Ricciardo. Pretty obvious, I think, why I've put him in the winners section this week. He finally finished a race, did the Aussie, for the French team Renault. He joined over it was last summer where it was announced he was going to join the team, and while we expected it to be a difficult start for Ricciardo at Renault, I don't think any of us expected him to not finish the first 2 races, continuing his luck he had at the end of his Red Bull days. You were starting to think, was he going to be able to get on top of that Renault this season? But very quickly, he's turned it around. He's done a fantastic job as Daniel Ricciardo, and 7th in the Chinese Grand Prix. If he can do that for the rest of the season, that's exactly what he needs to do in his first season in yellow. Our next winner, our winner number 2, Alex Albon. Only man to be in the winner section twice. Interesting fact, that one. The reason being, though, especially this time, and I suppose it was a similar reason to last time, was the fact that this guy is someone who, over the winter, people might put their hands up to this, they might not, people did not give him a chance. They just didn't. They said, oh, he's only been pushed in because Toros only did a seat to be filled, he wasn't that good in Formula 2, all this, that and the other, but he's actually really taken to this like a duck to water. And Albon, starting from the pit lane, finishing 10th ahead of Kevin Magnussen, Romain Grosjean, the 2 McLarens, although they got in a bit of a kerfuffle, didn't they? Another brilliant job from Albon, and I've put him in the winners section because, yes, he got driver of the day, and that obviously helps in winners and losers, but also because he just keeps proving everybody wrong. And in Formula 1, where pressures are so high, it's incredible that this guy is smashing through it and beating his experienced teammate, Daniel Kvyat. So Albon is our second winner for this week, and our biggest winner 2 weeks in a row. I know it's boring. He won the race. He's now leading the championship. The only one to win 2 races this season. But Lewis Hamilton is our biggest winner. Not necessarily because of what he's done in the Chinese Grand Prix. It's a pretty straightforward race for Lewis, to be honest with you. Got in front of Valtteri nice and early. After a difficult qualifying, difficult practice sessions early on in the week, got the job done when it mattered. Secured those 25 points. 1-2 for Mercedes. Very easy. He's the biggest winner, in my opinion, because his rivals are nowhere. And now, already, you look at the championship gap, he's over 30 points ahead of the Ferrari boys. That is a huge gap. And so, it's a little bit boring. I get that. But at the end of the day, it is the biggest winner because he is coming away with the 25 points, with a 1-2, with Verstappen splitting the 2 Ferrari. A great job. And really, I should say, the biggest winner are Mercedes, to be honest with you. Moving on to losers, just as difficult as winners, I'm afraid, this week. But I think I've picked out 3 pretty interesting stories in terms of the losers side. Just a heads up, sorry if I sound a little bit deflated today. That's not intentional. First up, Lando Norris, our first loser. And look, let's put it this way. I've got a lot of comments saying that, you know, British bias, Lando Norris isn't that good. I think he's done well in his first 2 races. 8th in the championship, it isn't too bad, and getting 6th last time out in Bahrain, pretty good job. The McLaren car, okay, it looked good in Bahrain, looked not so great in China. He's in the losers section though, because the form he came into China with is now gone. And Lando's really tried to, I suppose, play it down, if you want to call it that, and by saying, you know, I was going to get, you know, my first retirement eventually, I'd rather it be early on in the season, and okay, I get that. But he really was comfortably beating Sainz, and Sainz, yes, he just finished his first race this time out, but only just. I think he really had the swing of form on his side. Now it's an even playing field, and I'm interested to see if Carlos Sainz is going to be able to prove to that team that he is a leader, the reason he came into the team. So, again, similarly to how I put Hamilton as the biggest winner, that was Mercedes, I think really McLaren are the losers here, because they were doing well at the start of the season, and already there's been a bit of a shift in the matrix. Our second loser for the Chinese Grand Prix, again, I told you, I'm scraping the barrel this week, guys. Give me a chance, give me a chance. Kevin Magnussen. Qualified 9th, but even in qualifying itself, because of the incident with Vettel, Verstappen, Gasly, the 2 Haas cars, all that absolute kerfuffle that we saw in Q3 at the end of qualifying, the 2 Red Bulls and the 2 Haas cars didn't complete a lap. And so much so that the 2 Haas cars completed no laps at all in Q3, because both Magnussen and Grosjean didn't do a lap at the beginning of Q3. So they lined up in the order that they were in Q2. So Magnussen was 9th, Grosjean was 10th. But I've put Magnussen in because this is 2 races in a row. He's just had no pace whatsoever. I got it. Hands up, complete hands up. That is the car. And this car, the Haas car, seems great on 1 lap pace. More than 1 laps, you might as well not use it. It is so bizarre, but it's something they're going to have to nail. Melbourne, it seemed a really well balanced car. It seemed quick in the straights. It seemed good in the corners. Now, yes, on Saturday it's good. Sunday, it is vanishing. And Magnussen, you know, I put Magnussen here because Grosjean finally finished a race. So, in his eyes, you know, it was a pretty okay race. And actually, considering how bad the performance of the car was, Grosjean only finished 11th. So, it was only back 1 position. But Magnussen down in 13th from 9th. 2 races in a row that's happened. It's not ideal. I'm not putting the blame at Magnussen's door, but that car, something's going to have to change. And I'm hoping for the team that, you know, I do quite like Haas F1. I'm hoping for their sakes that next time out in Baku, nice long straights all over the track in actual fact. I'm hoping that should benefit the car a little bit. But it's been a bit of a bogey track for the team for the past few seasons. So we're going to have to wait and see. But our biggest loser this week, I think, is somewhat obvious. But perhaps not. I've gone with Charles Leclerc. I said in my race review, I think at the time, Ferrari were right to use team orders. Vettel was quicker all weekend. Fair enough. Give him a chance. What I don't agree with is then not letting Leclerc back past when Vettel wasn't quicker. And then it was so reminiscent of last season, or the past 3 or 4 seasons with Kimi Raikkonen, where they screw over Raikkonen for no benefit to Vettel. I mean, Vettel was 3rd. They screwed over Leclerc's strategy. Vettel finished 3rd. Leclerc lost a position to Verstappen. So again, this is more the biggest losers are Ferrari this week for once again bottling the strategy. Once again having to use team orders. That's 3 times in 3 races. And yet Leclerc has been almost at the brunt of 2 of those particular team orders. And yet he's 1 point behind Sebastian Vettel. This is not the Sebastian Vettel hate parade. Because again, I think they were right to use team orders in this race. But it's just the fact that once they've done it, Ferrari almost seem to be on a knife edge. They seem, I don't know, so agitated, if you will, that they just seem to make mistakes, get it wrong, and the classic Ferrari bottle job, it just appears. So Ferrari, my biggest losers. Leclerc actually is my biggest loser twice in a row now. This time mainly down to the team rather than just pure bad luck. Moving on then to the fantasy. We don't have loads of time this week to discuss the fantasy F1 side of things. However, we will do it because I love the fantasy F1, and as always, links are in the description. You can just join straight away. Just click on the link. The code's there. It's very easy. There's now 418 of you, so this is continuing to go up and up every single week. And as always as well, don't worry if you join in late. I am so far behind the competition. It feels like some people have had over 200 points in one race. I mean, I'm so far behind. Anyway, this time out, I am 269th overall in the league, and I scored 112 points. But as you can see on screen, it's another awful race. Norris joined the team, DNF'd. A big fat 0 points there. Grosjean only 6. Leclerc went backwards in the race. Ferrari third, and it was awful once again. And if you don't know, every week I have to make one change just so it spices it up a little bit. And I think major changes are going to have to happen because it's not going well this fantasy season for me. But as you can see, here are our top teams at the moment, and it's very close at the top. But as you can also see, I am nowhere near the very top of the standings. But our current leader is Left Turn Arrows, and this is how his team lined up. And actually, Turbo driver Kimi Räikkönen, really good shout. He was so close to being my driver of the day, was Kimi Räikkönen. Another cracking job. Lance Stroll as well. He's also a really good one to go for. Yes, he didn't get many points in this particular race. However, he always starts, you're going to lose out points on qualifying. But then he makes up so many positions in the race that you end up getting points back that way. Mercedes, every single time though, if you've got Mercedes as your team, then you're picking up points. 1-2 in every single race. I think a lot of people, myself included, went for Ferrari, thought it'd be a well worth decision considering it's cheaper than Mercedes, but no, it was a terrible decision going for Ferrari on my end. And so, big changes have been made to the Grosjean army. Gone is Charles Leclerc. He's been there since day one. He's gone. And it's a real shame because I think he'll get his first win very soon. But I've got to make a change every time I make a change, and I've decided that enough is enough. I had to make a big change. Hamilton comes in. We've now got 3 Brits in the team. That is just completely coincidence. But I'm hoping finally I can claw back some points. And yeah, at this rate, we're going to be lucky to finish in the top 50%. So fingers crossed for me. But that is your lot for winners and losers from the Chinese Grand Prix. Tomorrow, the weekly mailbox, the weekly Q&A will be back. So if you've got any last minute questions, throw them in the comments below in this particular video. You can join the Fantasy League as well. Those links are in the description. Also, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.